someone on campus and said, this is the wrong person. I observed this person with my eyes. You have the complete wrong description. The person you're looking for is wearing tactical gear and is obviously young because I watched him sprint back after taking the shot. Bill Ackman was very upset and threats were made.
Candace Owens claims that billionaires placed Charlie Kirk on a kill list and that the FBI helped cover it up. According to her, one of those billionaires even threatened Kirk directly. Not long after, Kirk was gone. This is where things get messy. Candace says the police have the wrong man in custody, and she claims they know it. The FBI's own description of Kirk's shooter doesn't match Tyler Robinson at all. The police scanner described the suspect clearly. All black clothing, a long gun, a tactical helmet, a black mask, and a vest. The shooter was described as young, skilled, and highly trained, someone who looked more like a foreign agent than a random 22-year-old. But Candace Owens wasn't buying the official story. Not long after Kirk was killed, she went online as if she couldn't hold it in any longer. She essentially said, "Y'all, the whole story the government is telling us is fake." She swore Tyler Robinson was being framed. Candace insisted Robinson isn't suicidal, despite the media pushing that narrative. She said the entire confession story was fabricated. In one of her posts, she wrote, "Tyler Robinson is not suicidal. The entire narrative the media placed about him being suicidal is completely fictional, as are many other aspects of what we've been told. His father turning him in after a confession is also complete fiction. On the contrary, Tyler Robinson maintains his innocence and has never even been to the UVU campus." That revelation shocked many. Remember how the media presented the story, claiming Robinson's father exposed him and that a family friend tried to convince him to turn himself in? It turns out that family friend was actually a former detective who told the family that Tyler had been identified as the shooter.
Family friend, who we learned was a former detective with the police force, and so therefore has strong ties with the police station, informed the family. It was that in-between person that informed the family that Tyler had been identified as the shooter.
And Candace wasn't done. She insisted that Tyler has never even set foot on that campus.
According to my source, Tyler has never even stepped foot on UVU campus.
She pointed out there isn't a single clear video or photo of Tyler on that campus. The only image officials released was a blurry picture, and his family swears it's not him. Candace even questioned the text messages, claiming they were planted. One of them used the word vehicle. According to her, Tyler doesn't even talk like that. And about the story that his dad supposedly turned him in, she flat out denied it. Candace said it was the other way around. A family friend told them police had already named Tyler, and that's the only reason the family even knew. Then she hinted at something darker. While digging, she claimed a politician's name surfaced, suggesting this was part of a much bigger cover-up than just one suspect. Finally, she dropped the kicker. The FBI was pressuring Utah officials to close the case fast, to label it a lone gunman situation. In her view, the feds were hiding something, or even protecting others who were involved. And here's the part that feels like it came straight out of a movie. Just a week before Kirk was killed, he had started digging into Turning Point USA's finances. Candace said he launched a major audit because he was worried about where the money was going. Then a leaked memo appeared, dated September 2nd. In it, Kirk announced a leadership shakeup. Justin Streff would become the new COO, and a new DOJ department would be created, a small team tasked with investigating spending efficiency and the organization's culture.
On September 2nd, which is, of course, just 1 week before he lost his life, Charlie surprised the company by announcing that he was putting together a DOJ department.
The memo literally said, Justin will be assembling a small team to assist in this effort, which is focused on Turning Point USA becoming more efficient, more cost-effective, unifying organizational success around company-wide metrics and goals, and reshaping company culture. At first glance, that just looks like routine corporate language, but the timing raises eyebrows. Kirk signed that memo only days before his assassination. Candace's angle was that this audit was dangerous. If Kirk really started digging, he might have uncovered where all the donor money and political contributions were actually going. And let's be honest, billionaires in politics don't like sunlight. In her version, Kirk wasn't some random target. He was silenced right as he was about to blow something wide open. This is where Candace tied in the billionaire angle, and it honestly sounds straight out of a conspiracy thriller. She claimed hedge fund billionaire Bill Aman pressured Kirk in the weeks leading up to his death because Kirk was beginning to criticize Israel's influence in Washington. Candace even alleged that Aman basically blackmailed Kirk into taking a trip to Israel. Aman immediately pushed back. He said, "My interactions with Charlie Kirk have been extremely cordial. I have never blackmailed anyone, let alone Charlie Kirk." But here's what people point to. About a month before the assassination, there was an intervention-style meeting in the Hamptons. Aman and others allegedly went after Kirk hard, calling him out for his views on Israel. After that, Kirk began talking about feeling morally blackmailed. He even started showing up at Catholic Mass, a noticeable shift from his usual public image. And it wasn't just talk. One influencer at that Hamptons gathering, Xavier DeRusso, later admitted Kirk was angry about being pressured. Not long after, DeRusso himself went on an all-expenses-paid trip to Israel, fueling even more suspicion. And get this, just one day after Kirk was shot, Bill Aman tweeted, "I feel incredibly privileged to have spent a day and shared a meal with Charlie Kirk this summer. He was a giant of a man." For Candace, none of that was coincidence. She argued that billionaires like Aman were tied to the so-called kill list. After Kirk's death, things didn't unite conservatives. If anything, it tore the movement apart. Owens became one of the loudest voices warning people not to accept a replacement for Kirk inside Turning Point USA. She said, "You put a shill in Charlie Kirk's chair in Charlie Kirk's company, and you try to tell us to follow that individual. I will be an enemy of you. There will be nothing that can stop me." She made it crystal clear. She wasn't letting anyone slide into his spot without a fight. But here's the twist. Not everyone believes Candace was as close to Kirk as she claims. Eric Bolling, the TV host, told Patrick Bet-David on the PBD podcast that Candace and Charlie had actually drifted apart years ago. He said they were tight at the start of Turning Point USA, but Kirk eventually pulled back because her theories were getting too extreme. He kept things polite but distanced. That's interesting because now Candace is acting like she's carrying his torch, while others see it as her pushing herself into the spotlight. Meanwhile, online chatter started pointing fingers in every direction. Some blamed far-right Groyper groups who had beef with Kirk. Others whispered about Turning Point's own internal politics. Instead of clarity, Kirk's assassination just deepened the divisions. Candace versus mainstream conservatives, donors versus activists, believers in conspiracies versus those wanting to move on. And here's where things get eerie. Candace Owens says that about 10 days before Charlie Kirk was killed, she got an overwhelming sense of doom, like a gut feeling that something terrible was about to happen.
There is some weird underground, it's like I sense like imminent danger is coming.
She even compared it to a powerful intuition she once had that led her to meet her husband. In other words, she takes these gut feelings seriously. This time, she connected it to concerns about school security and strange coded chatter online about bees. Yeah, bees. It might sound random, but it ties directly into Utah's identity. Utah is called the Beehive State, not because of honey, but because of Mormon symbolism about working together for the common good. Candace, being Candace, linked that symbolism to ideas of control, collectivism, and public school systems. She argued that the worker bee concept could be used as a kind of indoctrination, shaping kids to think a certain way. So in her framing, Kirk's assassination wasn't just a random act of violence. It was part of a larger, more sinister system she believes is already in motion, one using government, institutions, and culture to manipulate people behind the scenes. And she felt it before it even happened. That premonition added urgency to her posts. She was essentially warning, "Y'all, pay attention. Something terrible is coming, and we need to be ready to see the truth." It's one of those moments in her story that makes people pause. Whether you believe her or not, she genuinely believes she saw it coming, And when she issues that kind of warning, her followers listen.